And we're back at First State Lanes with the final match of the Bowlers Gazette Handicap Singles Classic. These are the ladies 169 and under. And our first bowler in the match, tournament leader, Helen Albright. And she starts off with a 7. She gets 11 pins handicap over Stephanie Benson. And she has a 1-3-6 standing. And she makes a spare. And winner of our last match, Stephanie Benson. And a 7 pin for Stephanie. Our tournament ran through 11 separate weekends. And we were at houses throughout the state. And the winner of each weekend went on to the semifinals. It was held here at First State Lanes. And after the semifinals, the top 3 get on TV. And Stephanie makes a 7 pin. Stephanie qualified in our tournament at Bowlerama. And a 7 count. 3-5-6 for Stephanie. Said our tournament was throughout the state. We were in Dover, Dover Bowl, Doverama. We were at Seaford, Pleasant Hill, Brookside, Price Lanes, Bowlerama, and First State. And Helen, she won the qualifying at Price Lanes. She's married. Her husband is Homer. They have 4 children. She started bowling in 1976. And she leaves a 10 pin. And the person that got her interested in bowling was her husband. And he has been the biggest influence in her bowling. High series is 500, has a high game of 215. And she makes the 10 pin. And she has 1 tournament win to her credit. She won an NABI tournament. Uh-oh, big split for Helen on that. That's the 4-10 in the third. Oh, she gave it a good run. Very good try. Interesting note, both Helen and her husband Homer ended up qualifying for first place in their respective divisions. They both get a chance to win a championship match right here on the Bowlers Gazette. Stephanie Benson, 7-pin lead in the third rather. And the game is close at this point. And a 12-pin lead for Helen Albright. But that's going to be eaten up because Stephanie just made the 7-pin. There's a difficult split, 3, 9, 10. Very difficult split to pick up. There's a 3-pin difference between the two bowlers after the third frame. 53-56. And Stephanie ended up leaving the 10-pin. Gives her 62 through 4. Helen with 56 through 3 with her handicap. And a 5-pin for Helen. And a nice spare for Helen. That'll keep her in the lead. And a 5-7 split. Gives her 63 through 4, plus her 11 pins, gives her a 74 to Stephanie's 62. So we have a 12-pin match right at this point. And she covers 1 to give her 72. And we'll be right back with more right after these words. And we're back with action at First State Lanes. Stephanie Benson in the 5th. Almost got it. Leaves a 5-pin. We'd like to thank First State Lanes for helping to sponsor this year's tournament. And we'd also like to thank all the houses that participated in this year's tournament. Hopefully we'll visit some more next year. And a spare by Stephanie Benson. And a nice strike by Stephanie Benson in the 6th. And Helen Albright coming up into the 6th. It's a very close match. And a strike for Helen Albright. She looks back at her husband, who's standing behind us, rooting her on. Right now we have a 1-pin match. 82 for Stephanie, 83 for Helen through 5, both with a strike in the 6th. Okay, last minute fall of the 7. Leaves the 8 for Helen Albright. And that looks good. A spare for Helen Albright in the 7th. Very close match between these two women. And Stephanie Benson coming up in the 7th. And she gets a double. There's $100 up for grabs in this match. The champion receives $250, and we have $150 for the runner-up. She wasn't too sure about that one, but she took it. That's a turkey for Stephanie Benson. Gives her a nice lead through 8. And a 4-7 for Helen Albright. And Helen goes past the 4-7. Gives her a 118 through 8, with 11 gives her a 129. Stephanie at this point has 142 and a double. We'll be back with more action right after this message. And we're back with action. In the 9th, Helen Albright trying to come back into the game. And she gets a break, leaves the 7. And a spare for Helen Albright in the 9th. And Stephanie Benson coming up into the 9th. And a 4-pin for Stephanie. Gives her 141 through 7. Strike in the 8th. And she goes past the 4. Gives her 169 through 9. And a 4-7 for Stephanie Benson in the 10th. She needs a spare here to lock out Helen Albright. Helen Albright could strike out. get a 178. And Stephanie managed to do that. She wins the match in our comeback of the Bowlers Gazette Handicap Singles Classic. The women's division, 169 and under. And she finishes up with a nice 187 game. And Helen Albright will finish out the match. Comes in second place. And a 5-8. And she makes her spare. Helen Albright gets one more ball. And she finishes up with a strike. Gives her a 156 scratch game. And a 167 with her handicap. our final. 167 for Helen Albright, 187 for Stephanie Benson. And we'll be back with more right after this.